States. So I'd rather just get these things to work to get my job done at times than dig into what could be had or what is not working. I'm just gonna work around it. But the fun we have with software, do you ever like get an old Word document or get a new Word document, you open up an old program and like all your formatting stuff. You literally spend an hour wasted just fixing all nonsense like that. That's the kind of stuff I really do not like in any of my workflows. All right, so, which is really the main reason why I use that 0. Drawing is right protected. I am like on a roll today. All right, that's because I did a copy, yeah, and I don't need to. I'm not gonna say that because I have my basin done. It's over here. It's already referenced into my utility plan. And I'll tell you again, when I was this is that source file for the roadway. My intersections are in here, all my surfaces, I just have them turned off or thawed somehow or frozen. But they're all in here. This is that source file with my data shortcuts set to the right folder. All I did was right click, create data shortcuts, and I checked that FG. That's the one I want to share. I don't need to share all those tiny little surfaces we did. Probably want to share the alignments if I hadn't, but I'm in a bad file. And once I do that, they appear in that list. Right? We did the EG a long time ago in a different file, and the FG is here now in this file. And with them in the data shortcuts, that just means I can share that information now with other DWGs in that project. And what we're going to talk about right now is earthworks. I'm going to show you how to get some cross sections. All right. I start a new drawing with a Civil 3D template. And if I'm going to do earthwork calculations, I need 2 surfaces. Because I need to find the difference between the 2. So I'm going to create a reference to my existing ground. And then a reference to my finished ground. And here they are. Now this is a calculation file. And I'm not too worried about anything printing or setting up a sheet here or making anything look pretty. So I don't even need to bring in all that base mapping if I don't want to. The only thing I'm really going to do here is cut some sections to print and come up with a number. That's what I need. I need an earthwork number at a table. And I might want to print the section lines from here. The other thing you need to do these sections are alignments. And your centerline alignments will be good. I don't have them in here, but I will get them in a second. All right, so look at that. I don't have my proposed alignments in my data shortcuts. I need to create data shortcuts for them. I open up the file that they're in. Again, this is the source file, which where the alignment is defined. It's the same one with my road and my basin. And I can just go to my data shortcuts, create data shortcuts, and everything Civil 3D that I created in this file is listed here. I already shared my surface, I don't need them, but I can look at my alignments, and I can click them, I can share my profiles with them. I don't need to share the corridors. And now when I come back into this other file, the alignments are ready for me to bring them in here so I can use them. If I refresh, there we go, they're under miscellaneous, create reference, center line. I'm not going to use stations because my stations I already have in my plans. And I don't need to see them again, they're going to be redundant. I'm going to see them on my sample lines. And I'm going to bring in my other alignment. Quite honestly, again, this is a calculation. I don't really need to see this surface. I'm going to turn it off. And this surface here, the only thing that really concerns me is the limit of grading. I'm going to put a border on that. I have my alignment and my two surfaces. Go to your Home tab, and there's a sample line button somewhere. Is that it? I'll find out. Ah, there we go, that's the button. Create sample line groups. Sample lines are nothing more than lines that are going to be drawn in plan view representing where you're cutting a cross section. So if I tell you I want cross sections every 50 feet, there's going to be a line every 50 feet. If I tell you I want cross sections every 25 feet, there will be a line every 25 feet. Much like my profiles, I'm going to give these appropriate styles. I don't think the EG is an appropriate style for an FG, so I'll go to the FG style. That seems a lot more appropriate. And I click OK, and I get one of those wonderful Civil 3D toolbars. This is the sample line tools. Our Google search, Civil 3D, create sample lines by range of stations. Will lead you to this button. And it's going to allow me to say, I want sections every 50 feet. Instead of me having to pick points all over the alignment or select existing polylines that I would have had to draw manually anyway. If I'm doing a flood study, I would more than likely use this. If I was working with only survey data, I might use that. But by range of stations, and here comes my create sample lines by station range dialog. All right, so read this. This should be pretty self-explanatory. We have two things. We have a swath width, which is how wide I'm going from the center line. And we have sampling increments. That's how far you want your section spaced. All right? So the only thing I'm going to change here is maybe the width. I could probably reduce that to 35 feet left and right. Would put me 75 feet from my, roughly from my center line, which is what I said my disturbance would be. And I'm gonna change my increments to 50 feet. That's all I really need to do. I don't even need to change the swath width here, but I'm gonna change it to show you. Oop, not 353, that will make them a little bit longer. 50, a half curve, so I gotta change that. I don't really have spirals, so there's no need. And I click OK, and look at that. There's my sample lines. Every 50 feet. And if I use my distance command, and I go from the endpoint to the endpoint, you see we've got that cool nifty 35 feet. These sections can be dragged out. Does that 35 feet appear to be a little bit short here? And here? Yes, it does, and even down here, right? And what if I want one at the end? Well, I can go back to there and I can just draw one if I want. Station here, swath width, 50, left, 50 right, there you go. I can add them, I can remove them. Selecting your sample line is the control for your earthwork calculations, for your cross sections, the hatches in your cross sections. It's everything. The sample line holds all those tools. You select one and you either go to the ribbon or to the right click menu and you go to your sample line group properties. Remember, this is many, this is single. This controls them all. Sample line group properties, same as going to group properties here. Again, this would be many, this would be one. There's nothing to do here, except assign a style. But if you go to the group properties, here's a list of all your sample lines. Let's say I didn't really like that 25 or that 35 feet I gave. I'm going to select them all. I can come up here and I can change it to 45 or 50 if I want. And I click apply and you see the sample lines have grown. I want that last one to be a little bit longer, don't I? So I can come down here, select that last one. Oh, cancel. So more fun with software. This is one where you select all and you try to deselect all and you can't. So I'm going to click OK and I'm going to go back there to my sample line group properties. And I'm going to select that last one and maybe we'll make that 75 and 75. You hit OK. And there we go. Now I'll watch this because we usually don't want our cross sections overlapping. And I'm going to have sample lines up here too. So let's see how they interact and I'll create sample lines one more time. So here's my create sample lines button. It's asking me to select an alignment. The alignment comes up. I choose the two surfaces. And remember, you need two surfaces to get a volume because it's got to compute the difference between them. We click OK. And again, I click my drop down. There's range of stations. And I can leave my swath width at 50 and I'll change my increment to 50. I'll click OK and there we go. We're done. But what do I have here that I don't want? I told you. Overlapping section lines. And the reason I want it is going to start computing these areas twice, right? Not a big deal. You can, in this case, I could probably just erase that last one and I'm covered. But just so you know, you could also grip edit these, and if you wanted to, you could do sample lines like that. And they would come in and that would work too. Either way, you're not gonna compute it. You could also just reduce them in length a little bit if you wanted. There's a lot of ways to do it. So we have our sample line set. I want to include this, don't I? But I don't have an alignment, and I don't have sample lines. Just draw an alignment. Draw a polyline. P-line. From here to here to here to here. Grip edit as you need to make it look wonderful. Alignment, create from object. The direction doesn't really matter. I'll call this basin CL. And I don't really care about labels or what have you. Again, this isn't going to print. And there I have my alignment. I can now create sample lines on that alignment. The only difference is if I look at this basin at 50-foot increments, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 sections. Is that going to be enough to really go through and compute the volume? Just cutting this thing 1, 2, 3? Probably not. So when you do your basin, just reduce your increment value. Instead of going 50 feet, go 20 or 25, whichever one you prefer. That'll get you a few more sections on there. All right. So, in the old days, what I'd be doing now is sitting down, looking at this line with the existing and proposed contours. I'd be drawing a grid and then mapping out, you know, this contour crosses at 3 feet and it offset at 3 feet, and I'd say it's up 6 feet and offset it up, and I could put a dot. Then I'd go find where the next contour crossed. And I'd look at that grid and I'd compute that horizontal distance where it crossed, and I'd shoot it up to the elevation, and I'd connect those dots. And I'd continue across that line until I had a cross section. That's how they're drawn, much like a profile, right? Look at this path, draw out the grid, see where the contour 100 here, contour 101 here, contour 102 here, connect the dots. I don't do that. We have wonderful tools. Create multiple section views. Choose your alignment. I'm gonna start with, why not start with the basin? And you can go through and choose. I suggest you guys use draft, all right? Don't try to set up plan and production tools. If you don't have them set up, it'll be a big waste of time. I'm not asking you to print all these cross sections. I do not want to review all your cross sections. I do not want you wasting an hour printing out 2 sheets of cross sections. You guys are going to pick out 3 to 5 good typical cross sections and print them on your phone and give me the table for the volume, all right? Not the whole set. If you use draft, it'll just lay them out without going through a good half hour or an hour of setup that you'll be spending 3 hours researching. Click next. You can go through your elevation ranges. I usually just tell it to create the views. And I come up out of my way somewhere, and lo and behold, I have a whole bunch of section views for my basin. Let me change my style so you can see it better. The cyan does not show up very well. Red will show up better. There you go. Okay. Now, that's pretty easy. Let's get some more sections. We have our other two alignments. I go to my cross sections, create multiple views, and I choose my Fender Road, click next, draft, create sections, and I'm going to put these over here. Oh wow, this came with a whole bunch of stuff I did not want. Right click, select similar. Oh no. Oh no, and it put them all on separate layers. All right, so this is a problem with my template. I went through this morning. I have these all going as separate layers, and it's horrible. But what I could do is I could go to my sample line group properties. And I told you can control just about everything from here. Oh wait, except for this. I'm sorry, if you right click on your sections, you can edit your labels. You can just delete them, that's how I do it. Because you really don't need to see them. You go to this, if you notice, I'm going to do it to the one, but it's really doing it to them all. Oh, or it should have been. All right, but you can get rid of them on your own. I can get rid of them. Creating your cross sections is really pretty simple, but this is half the job because what you need now is the volume, right? I'm cutting ground, right? And I'm filling ground. If I took the area of these polygons, multiply them by the distance between the next sample line, the next cross section, I get the volume of Earth between those two sample lines. That's how this works. We're going to compute the area here as cut, compute the area here as fill. We're going to multiply it by the distance to the next station, which is 50 feet. And we're going to get a volume between those two. We're going to come to the next one, and we're going to look at the same thing. The area of each of those. And we're going to compute the volume between them. How you say this voodoo. What are you talking about? This is all, again, when I did this course, we all had to do a spreadsheet for this in Excel with Land Desktop. Because no one was going to teach us how to get into Land Desktop cross sections. It could have been done automatically. And I was doing it very shortly after this class in Land Desktop. But go back to sample line group properties. Your material list is your average end area calculation. Write that down. Material list is the average end area calculation. Google Civil 3D, compute materials for cut and fill. And you will learn all of this. It's really very simple. I have two surfaces, I have those cross sections. If you import a criteria, Civil 3 by default comes with two of them. One is either going to say cut, fill, or earthworks, or total, that's what it says, total volume. The other one says material volume. Do not do materials. All right, again, this is my template. Yours will say total volume, materials. You want total volume. Once you do that, you get to click, it tells you, well, give us EG. The existing ground is existing ground. Give us what we're gonna measure against, the FG, and this is where it's gonna choose your two surfaces to compare. And you come back in, it already did your whole calculation, it knows the volume of the program, just by clicking OK there. You should have different styles for cut and fill automatically, you shouldn't have to do anything, but click OK. And once you compute those materials, and you go back to your cross sections, you'll note that you should have two types of hatches here. Again, not just one. I should have a solid hatch over here. I am going to regen again. My computer is getting flaky today. But that was all right in those corridor group properties. I'm sorry, sample line group properties. And I'm going to just check my fill style and make sure that it's shown. Oh, that's why I don't have a style for it. Let's do that now. Now we'll see it. I don't have a cut style. And there we go. Cut and fill.
Are those sections like to scale, or are they like?
They're to scale. They are, if I go distance, from here, there's no snaps in my grids, I don't have grids. But there's 19.89 feet, that's your 20. There is vertical exaggeration, just like your profiles. I think I have 5 here, or, yeah, or 4 for that. And you can change your scale and they will scale automatically for you. Right, so 20 scale, 10 scale, whichever one you want, but I wouldn't be showing these labels. You have no need to show these labels, just erase them. This is what I'm interested in seeing. Your cut, you can't see it, but there's a gray crosshatch here. There you go. Let me edit that section style and give it a different color. Now you can see the hatches through there. And those hatches are on all of these sections. All right. You need a table. So again, select your sample line. I told you that's the key to this whole process. Notice every time we needed to do something, I came and selected the sample line. And then I got the control. Once I select the sample line, my labels and tables appear. Click your tables, and you want a total volume table. You should have one that gives you the appropriate information. Select the appropriate alignment. Oh, I didn't do the base. And again, another horrible style for a white background. Let me change that real quick. How's that? A little better? Now, what did I tell you that calculation was doing? It's taking the distance between the two sections. It was computing the area of those hatches. So up there, on one side it found a cut area of 16, found a cut area of 5, and these are in square feet. It found a fill hatch of 30 on one, a fill hatch of 37 square feet on the other. And it takes, right, this is 0, but we multiply that 50 and then divide by 27, we're gonna get those numbers. This is the cumulative, so 20, 5, 0, 9, we're summing them, cut and fill as we go down. This is the average end area, and this is how we were doing volumes long before AutoCAD, long before computers, when they were still doing it with pencil and paper, slide rules, not an abacus, but a slide rule. And it's, again, pretty simple. When I took this class, I made a spreadsheet that did it, but what did I have to do? I had to go around and draw all those hatches, didn't I? In my cross sections. Even if I was, smart enough to get Land Desktop to print out the cross sections, I didn't have enough time to learn how to get this. So I had to draw hatches, or a polyline actually, because you couldn't at the time, you couldn't even get an area from a hatch. I had to draw polylines, go to my properties, get the area, divide it by the vertical scale factor, and then type it into my spreadsheet. How many chances do I have to mess up there? Right? Many. So these are the benefits to doing these processes. With that, I would repeat the same. Let's do it now for our basin. Again, the key is the sample line. Go to the group properties, go to the materials, and import again, total volume. Set EG, set FG, click OK. I already fixed my styles, but it didn't give me one for the concrete. I hit OK. And again, I don't see it, but I should. Let's go to our last one and do it and see what happens. Sample line group properties. Oh, I know why. I set the FG, didn't I? I'll go back there and I'll show you what I did wrong. So I'm going to come to my material list. I'm going to import another criteria. And here I have EG and FG. I click OK. I click OK. And if I go to the sections over here, there's my cut and fill. Actually, I didn't make sections for that road.